Well, welcome, fools. I am here with Janelle Briggs of Stackhouse, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk to her is because I have an interest in affordable housing and tiny homes, and I think Stackhouse is a really interesting idea. So welcome, Janelle, and tell me a little bit about Stackhouse.
Thank you so much for having me, Deidre. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Stackhouse is a prop tech startup revolutionizing the real estate industry. We are the first company in the world to build vertical container communities where we can dock your shipping container home in our building, connect it to utilities, and you join a vibrant community of folks. And when we build our locations around the country and around the world, we will be able to ship your container home from city to city. So you can live in a custom built home, the same price as an SUV anywhere in the world.
I just love that idea. So are these containers custom built for Stackhouse, or are they pre-used containers?
So we do build our homes in what are called one-trip containers. Generally, they have been used to ship over electronics, but they are fully tested and remediated, and then our manufacturing partner builds the home to order in that container home.
So why do you think container housing is the future of fast building and affordable housing?
We chose containers honestly because the entire world's economy is based on moving those dimensions as quickly and affordably as possible. And that, we think, is the key to scale, is using existing systems in a way that they maybe weren't intended to be used, so that we don't have to add extra infrastructure. We don't have to have our drivers get a special certification. We're using existing systems in a way that should facilitate a new way to live and move in cities.
I think the most interesting thing about this is the idea that the home can be moved. I think that's just fascinating. How is that going to work? Can it be transported on a truck? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So we can ship our containers really any way that things are moved. So by train, by truck, by boat. It costs about $2 a mile to ship a container by truck. It costs about $2,000 to ship a container from LA to Tokyo. So in the future, we plan to repurpose cruise ships, and we'll be able to dock your home where your room would be. You can live in that home as you move, all over the world.
So what about the utilities and the plumbing and things like that?
Yeah, we have regular connections. It's part of the patent protections that we've filed for the vertical infrastructure, but we connect the container home to utilities in the tower, the vertical infrastructure that we build. And we're actually working right now on a way to build our container homes and put them on trailers so that folks can actually drive their own container home with a truck. And then when we have a Stackhouse tower in that city, we can move it from their truck into the building. So we're trying to be as inclusive as possible of all of the ways that people want to live and move.
So can the houses also be used as standalone houses outside of the structure?
Yep, our container homes receive a HUD certification. So they are 50 state legal when they leave the manufacturing center, and that's how we're able to ship them from state to state. So you can buy a Stackhouse container home and put it on a privately owned piece of land, anything like that. And so that's one of the things that sets Stackhouse apart from some of the other companies that are coming up in the space, like Arc or Blockable. These folks are building, really cool, tricked out tiny homes, but they don't provide their customers the land, a place to actually live in that home. And Stackhouse does that by building vertical infrastructure in city centers.
So how do you go about getting the land to build those infrastructures? Are you running into any zoning situations as far as how high you can build and things like that?
Yeah, so the Stackhouse Tower always conforms to local building code. So we follow all of the local zoning for the piece of land that we purchase. And my co-founder, Ryan Egan, he goes by Egan, his superpower is finding great locations and getting them under contract. Before we started Stackhouse, he worked for a company called Brake Masters, which is like a Midas or a Meineke automotive repair. And Egan helped them grow to 70 stores in 5 states. And he would get on a Southwest flight, fly to these locations, look at the land, work with the city on zoning, and then get those locations built and up and running. And so that's exactly what we do for Stackhouse. We started working with a broker in Denver. His name's Nathan Stern. And he would send us property that he thought would work. And we eventually found the site that we're under contract for. The address is 3425 West Colfax. We had our first conversation with the City of Denver Planning Department back in November. They put 10 folks on that call, including a city manager, which for folks in real estate is just unheard of for a first meeting. And the City of Denver actually asked us to decrease our parking count and increase our unit count. So this first location will have docking spaces for 62 container homes. Our lot in Denver is just a 10-minute walk from Broncos Stadium. There's a lake close by, as well as an elementary school, a middle school, and a rail line. And we always look for locations that are not only a good buy for the company, but a great location for our residents. And so we try to be very thoughtful about where we build so that we can pass on great locations and a great lifestyle to our customers.
So 62 units, is that how tall? How many are you stacking?
Yeah, so it is a 7-story building that we will construct. And the Stackhouse Tower is just like an apartment building or a condo building. So there are elevators, staircases. We've got parking on the first floor. Something else that we include in all of our developments, right now we're calling them privacy pods, but if you can help us come up with a better name, we are looking for one. They are 10-foot cubes, built-in containers, and we've got them on every floor. So we know that 320 square feet is a small living space. So we have these privacy pods on every floor that folks will be able to reserve on our customer-facing app. So if you have a really important call or you're having a friend over and you want to have, a convo away from the kids, you can reserve these privacy pods. So you have like comfy places to go in the development outside of your tiny house.
Interesting. That kind of leads me to a question I had about, people working from home and all of that. Do you feel like that's going to impact Stackhouse? Do you think that people will maybe can you get two and connect them or something like that?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. And our goal, especially for the first few developments, is a one-to-one container to occupant or, a couple or a small family, because we really want to increase the number of homeowners in any given city. But with that being said, in the future, we do want folks to have the ability to combine 2 units. We want to be able to meet all of the different lifestyle needs, but especially as we're getting started, one of the things that cities are really concerned about are making sure that if they bring in new housing stock, that it's actually solving the attainable housing crisis and that they aren't being bought up by investors or used for Airbnb. And we get that question a lot too. And so Stackhouse is a owner-occupied development. We don't allow you to rent them out or post them on Airbnb because that would only jack up the prices for our other community members. And we are very intent on being a solution to the home ownership crisis. We pivoted to building in Denver in part because we wanted to be in a location that would be really exciting for our customers and where we knew we could make this make sense from an investor perspective, because we are a pre-revenue startup. And so there are lots of different factors that go into how we're able to fund this development. And we try to be transparent about that as well, why our pricing is the way that it is, the access that folks have to be able to even purchase our homes. They don't qualify for FHA financing. You can only get a personal loan. And so thankfully, we just finished up the Techstars Anywhere Accelerator, which was just a phenomenal experience for our company. And that has given us the opportunity to get in front of, different financial institutions. And one of our asks is a pilot project for lenders on our container homes. Generally, tiny homes, are on wheels and can be, kind of taken anywhere. Our homes are locked in a building at least 2 stories off the ground. And so we're working towards getting, even a 10-year term on the container home purchase would make the Stackhouse lifestyle even that much more accessible for more folks.
So does the owner of the Stackhouse, you buy the house outright with a loan, a personal loan, do you then pay rent to be inside the tower?
That's exactly how it works. You buy your container home with a personal loan or cash if, that's your situation. And then we charge a monthly membership fee for folks to dock their home in our vertical community. And that monthly fee covers all of your utilities, internet, everything that you need. The average monthly docking price for the Denver location is slated to be $2,500.
And are there any plans to have amenities around the building itself?
That's one thing that we are always considering and that we want to be really cognizant of, because anything that we build, we have to pay for and then charge for. And so we don't build a pool, we don't build a gym, but one thing that we are going to work towards is having maybe a special punch card for our residents that gets them a discount at the YMCA or the local coffee shop. Things like that to incentivize, especially once the world is opened up and safe again, for our residents to be involved in the community. People live in cities because of the amenity in the city, and that's what we want to encourage.
Excellent. So price of building materials right now is crazy. Lumber is just through the roof. Does the price of steel worry you? Are you concerned about other building materials? How does that affect Stackhouse?
I don't think I would be a good CEO if I wasn't concerned. I definitely am. We watch the market. But with that being said, what sets Stackhouse apart from other builders is that we're able to separate the cost of the vertical infrastructure from the cost of the container home themselves. And because those two things are built separately, it allows us more control over materials. And the Stackhouse infrastructure is essentially just a skeleton. We don't really hang a lot of drywall, anything like that. So the things that really ramp up the cost of home construction, Stackhouse doesn't encounter because those homes are built in a manufacturing center. While we would prefer to build our vertical communities in steel, we can do them in concrete, if that's necessary. If steel really is out of control when we're closer to construction, we do have options on how to build. And we did that thoughtfully as well. Just because we have the cheapest way to build it, we also have contingency plans. And that is a credit to the team that we've been able to build, Egan's expertise. We also have an architect working for equity for us. His name's Randy Jacob. He was also a general contractor for a number of years. And so we've been very thoughtful about the team that we build so that we have all eyes and perspectives on the concept at all times so that we can pivot at a moment's notice.
And where's your manufacturing facility?
We actually keep that very tight. There are only a few manufacturers in the country that can build to the spec that we need. And we are also doing ongoing contractor negotiations. So we have a 30-day out with our current manufacturer, and we're right now working to make sure we're getting the best deal for the company and for our customers. So we hold all of that pretty close right now.
So you had to work with Denver on, putting that together. What about other areas? Do you feel like there's going to be a change in zoning? That's one of the things that we've been covering on the site a bit. The idea of ending some exclusionary zoning, making it easier for multifamily to be in more places.
I don't know what's going to happen. I am unfortunately continually shocked and saddened at how strong the NIMBY community is, not in my backyard. It is it's hard to watch as someone who wants to build housing, to see the pushback from folks who are well housed. The fact that the irony that they don't seem to get, it's really frustrating. And so while I am hopeful, I don't think it's going to be any easier to fix this problem. And part of that is because we have this American myth that your home should and must increase in value, that somehow that has become an American right. That is not the case. But until we start caring more about our fellow citizens being housed and cared for rather than the future worth of our assets increasing in value, I'm not sure we have a good incentive system to change zoning. And I watch a lot of cities and they seem to be really struggling with how to get folks on board with adding more housing stock. It's disconcerting as a citizen. It's hard to watch. But what I am hopeful for is that we've had such a strong reception from the city of Denver. We just started marketing to the Denver community about 2.5 weeks ago, and so far over 200 people have signed up to be, on the wait list for this development. And so my goal always is to do my job well, to be an advocate for folks who need new places and new avenues to live. And I get up every morning and try to do the best work that I can to advocate for more housing stock, because that is what is going to solve the problem, and from my research and our understanding of the market.
I love that. One of the things that I'm concerned about, though, is, so are there tax credits for this type of thing? Because there's tax credits around stick-built construction to incentivize developers. How does that work with something like Stackhouse?
We don't fit any traditional box in any way, which I think is really exciting and shows that the real estate industry is long overdue for real change, for systemic change. It makes it a little difficult for us. Like, we have to do a lot of navigating. I try to be very cautious and not use the word affordable housing. We do not fit the definition of affordable housing, even though our homes start at $45,000. And that's because when you combine the monthly community fee to dock your home with the monthly payment of purchasing that home, on average, it's a little over $3,000 a month. And that's a significant housing cost. It's still cheaper than, buying $1 million home in California, but we don't meet the definitions. And that's because of the financing that our customers can get to purchase their home, and the financing that our company can get to be able to actually build the vertical development. When you go to build a traditional apartment building, you can get 80 to 90% of the cost of construction in debt. We're only able to get a 60% loan from a bank because this has never been done before and they see it as risky. All of those things go into that monthly rent that we then have to charge. And so we recognize that Denver is our proof of concept location. And I try to be very upfront with that when we talk to folks who are interested in living with us, because it's my job as a CEO to get that price down so we can house more people. And that means talking to investors, talking to lenders, and really explaining to them, to the folks in this industry, why the price point is so high. And it's because of the entrenched lending system that we have. You have to have a comp. And when you're trying to do something new, there is no comp, and that makes it expensive for us and our consumers. And so I try to explain that, like, this is what we're working with, this is how we're trying to make it better. And it's great to see folks get really excited about what we're trying to build. And I think that having, such a huge wait list will only serve to prove the point that people need housing alternatives, and that Stackhouse is a very exciting and attractive alternative.
So what do you need in order to scale this? How big is your vision?
My vision is global. We've picked 25 cities across the US to build in over the next 5 years, but we were always intentional about being a global company from the start. We designed the Stackhouse vertical community to San Francisco code, which is the United States' most stringent building code. And they have sister code agreements with 14 cities around the world. So we are ready to build around the world from day one. And we would look to partner with developers in your major cities like your New York's, Chicago's, because a lot of the land in those markets is spoken for by legacy families or legacy developers. And so we will absolutely need those partnerships to get a foothold in those markets. We're actually working with our attorneys to convert our provisional patents into patents right now. And so we would look to license our patent portfolio to other developers to stand up communities even faster.
Interesting. So your goal then is to, create this global community by partnering with other developers and really looking to go from city to city?
Absolutely.
I love that. So just to wrap up, how can people learn more? How can they get involved?
Yeah, stackhouse.life is our website. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at stackhouse_life and on Facebook at Stackhouse Living. We're doing our best to post all the updates. Egan and I are actually downsizing into the model Stackhouse container home. We'll be picking it up from our general contractor on Wednesday, a week from yesterday. So we'll be live streaming, like literally I'm going through laundry, we're doing the downsizing ourselves and sharing that journey. So we would love for you to follow along. Stackhouse.life is the best place to find us.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, the downsizing thing it's challenging for people. So it's great that you're eating your own dog food. You're doing exactly what you hope other people will do.
Yep, that's it. And I've never been more excited. Where we actually are staying in a 400 square foot guest house right now. One of our investors is letting us crash there while we're waiting for the container to be ready. And so it's a little bigger than a Stackhouse container. And I have never felt more secure. Sure, it's cramped, but it's cozy and it's everything I thought it would be. I'm excited to drink my own Kool-Aid. We've been talking about this since 2017, and now that we're finally there, I'm not even worried. It is a dream come true. And I hope the rest of the world is excited for this new way of living as we are.
Awesome. That's a great place to end it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.